Well, hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Scout Tactical channel and a gun review for you today, which I know are always popular with everybody. And this is a classic, one of my all-time favorites, a blast from the past, the Walther PPK. Love this gun. I thought that I had reviewed this gun. A couple of guys emailed me and said, why haven't you ever done the Walther PPK? I would have put money that I had reviewed this gun, but in fact I hadn't. It had shown up in a couple of videos like concealed carry basics and stuff like that, but I'd never done the gun, so it is high time that I do a classic like the PPK because it is one of the all-time greatest guns ever made. Now, I will say that by taking the exclamation mark off of the end of the sentence and putting an asterisk there, because there are a lot of guns that do certain things better than the PPK. But it's a cool gun. It has the cool factor going on. At first, it's a good feeling gun, it's a reliable gun, it's a good looking gun. It does the job, and it was James Bond's gun for a long time, so that makes it cool as well. You know, in the gun world, it is a culture. There is a gun culture that exists, whether you know it or not, if you're new to guns. And some of that is some of what, you know, what did your hero have in the movies, you know, and what was Indiana Jones's gun, and what was James Bond's gun, and they're on and on. You know, there is some nostalgia to some of these guns. There is some coolness, some history, and one of the most historic, again, the PPK. So the gun started being made in one version or another in 1935 in Germany. That's kind of crazy that it's already been 2015 now, 80 years of the Walther PP series of guns. So we've had the PP, the PPK, the PPKS. The PPKS, which is this gun, holds one more round than the PPK. And the reason is there was a 1968 Gun Control Act passed in America, and it made a gun have to be a certain length, a certain size, a certain weight. And the PP failed. So what they did is they put the PP frame and the PPK slide. Now I have the PPKS, and the gun weighs 1.8 more ounces, and it passed the test back then. And that was long ago, you know, long ago. But that's why this gun came to be. And what it is a pretty good gun for concealed carry. It's also a great range gun because it is comfortable to shoot and fun to shoot. I'll show you both sides. And it's a great gun to teach people on. It really is. Now 380 sometimes is hard to find in ammo. That's the caliber, 380. I know that some guys are loving their 9, their 40, their 45, their 38s, and on and on and on. The list of calibers is mind-boggling today. But you know, 380 is still a staple caliber, still a good caliber. I do have the gun surrounded by a little bit of competition from the modern guns of today. So what you get is a blast from the past, and as such, just like my old 1966 Mustang that my son now drives, that's an all-metal car. That's great, but it doesn't have all of the features of today's cars, all the modern features. Well, the PPKS is very similar to that. This is not a 1960s model. In fact, this is, I think, a 2003 model, but it is an old design. So the gun is metal, a little heavier than most. It's not polymer like some of the guns of today, most of the guns of today. It has a hammer, which a lot of the guns of today don't. It has a safety, which a lot of the guns of today don't. But it is a great gun to shoot. It feels great in the hand. It points well. It has very basic rudimentary sights, but they work, as you see down the sights. It has enough sight radius to make it not real intimidating and easy to shoot with. You know, you're the new guys that are shooting, and that's guys, teenagers, wives, whatever. Sometimes can get a little bit of intimidated if you give them a true little tiny pocket pistol like the Bodyguard or something. Although I love it, and it's one of my most popular reviews of all time on YouTube. I'm just saying, a full-size compact gun with a little more to grab onto, sometimes a little easier to shoot for most new shooters. And again, with the hammer, with the safety, and with normal place controls and the ability to grip the gun, and I'm a fairly big size guy, I guess. I'm 6'2", 225, so I can grab the gun. It does have an extension on the mag. That is an option, but it's the only way to go on the PPKS because it makes the gun fit in your hand perfectly. So you can shoot this thing all day. It doesn't have the round count that you would hope for of 12 or 15 or something like that. It only holds 7+1. It is really top-end mags, like all Walther products. They're numbered. You know, Walther makes great stuff, and these mags are numbered. It's There we go. Did I show you that? Yeah. So it's 7 plus 1. 7 in the mag, plus an additional if you want to top off, and it shoots great. You'll see on the gun, not to confuse you, it does say 9mm right there. See it? 9mm Kurz. 9mm Kurz is German. Kurz is short, and that's what this used to be called, 9mm Browning or 9mm Kurz, and that is a 380, because a 380 is a 9mm projectile in the end of the bullet, a little shorter case, very much smaller, very little difference in the case, but it is shorter, and that makes a little less power, and that's what a 380 is, in case you didn't know that. It's a little tidbit. I'm sure that some ballistic expert's going to say, oh, well, it also has this, and that's fine, man. I'm just telling you, a 380 is very similar to a 9, just a little shorter. It's just a basic deal. So, one cool thing about the Walther is it is, again, metal on metal. They will last for a long time. I got this one in 2003. It is a Walther-made gun. A Smith & Wesson made gun with the Walther name on it instead of inner arms is what I meant to say. My last one, I had another one that was blued with wooden grips, and it looked really great. That was a great gun. But I had a little feeding trouble out of it here and there, but it was pretty old. And it was made by Inner Arms. It was imported by Inner Arms. Over the years, 80 years of Walther PPKs and PP series pistols, there have been various manufacturers. They've made them in Germany, they've made them here, they've imported them with Inner Arms. There's been all kinds of different stuff. And then Smith & Wesson came into the game in 2002, I believe, to start making them for Walther. And first they were just assembling them here, but Walther was making them in Germany. On and on, man. The options are crazy. And if you know the truth about what, every instance of how these guns have been made, then I ask that you keep that to yourself, because these guys comment on the videos with some of the craziest things, and they get mad about it. They're like, oh my gosh, you said that gun was 23 ounces, it's 23.2, relax, take a deep breath, that's not why we're here. I'm showing you a classic, I'm highly recommending it, but I will say a couple things about it. Number one, it's only about an inch thick, a little over, with the controls, so that's good. It's concealed carry size, no problem, so that's good, but at 23 and a half, depending on the version you have, ounces, it is heavy. It's not the end of the world. You've probably seen that weight before. Maybe this gun. So the M&P Compact, this is a 40. These guns are in the 21 to 24 ounce option, depending on the options with the safeties and the lasers and all that. So it's about the size, the weight of this, but again, this is a 40 cal versus a 380. Now, total difference. Or let me show you this. The Kel-Tec PF9, which I've already reviewed as well, and I've done the M&P. The Kel-Tec PF9, it's about that size. But, as you can see, Kel-Tec's still a little thinner. It's half the weight, just about. I mean, the Kel-Tec's what, 10 ounces? Somewhere in there, 12 ounces? And versus 23? And it's a 9mm. But I'll say, I love the Kel-Tec. I've reviewed it. Check out the video. But the Kel-Tec's not fun to shoot. It's brutal. It's horrible. It makes you wish it was over. You get 6 or 7 rounds in that mag and you want them to be done, because it is bad to shoot that gun. Not comfortable. And I have a laser on there and a pocket clip, and I've tried every accessory known to man to get that PF9 to shoot a little bit better, but it doesn't. In contrast, a little higher, also in money, another bad detractor from why you might not want one. They're a great gun if you can afford it. These guns are still in the $450 to $550 range in most shops, so a little higher. When in comparison, you're getting the Bodyguard and the 300s, $299 or so on the PF9, and you're still able to get the M&P Compact for somewhere around $499 to $550. So it's a little higher than some of the pocket guns. I know the LCP is still running from Ruger $289 to $319, so another $150 for the Walther, but you won't regret it. If you can take the weight for a concealed carry gun, it's perfect. When I became an officer, I didn't really know any better or care, and I carried this for about the first year and a half of as my off-duty carry gun. I thought it worked great. It was all metal. It's stainless steel. It didn't rust on me in any kind of weather or sweat or whatever, and I'm in Texas, so we have quite a bit of sweat and quite a bit of rain and stuff in certain seasons. So it held up really well for me. I don't have a mark on that gun, and I carried it quite a bit. I shot it quite a bit. I've had probably 1,500 rounds through it. I got it in 2003. It's had no problems, so it's a good gun. It is one that I highly recommend for those that are starting out, maybe wanting to learn a little bit, wanting to, if your state permits the caliber of 380, take your CHL test with it. I know some states are now wanting 9mm or better for whatever reason, but that 380 is good to take your CHL course with. It's great as a first carry gun or a gun to get used to at the range and start learning the fundamentals of shooting. You can shoot it double and single action, I will say that. So what is the difference in there? Well, and I showed you that this was empty already. See the chamber? And the mag's empty. So basically, if you pull the trigger, I'm showing you the hammer. If you pull the trigger, the hammer comes back. Excuse me, that's double action. See, as the trigger moves, the hammer comes back. So it's a heavy pull. We're somewhere in the 10-pound range on this. Or you can cock the gun, just pull the hammer back, my fingers out of the trigger, and then you'll have some take up. See, that's just effortless. There's some take up, and then a very smooth trigger at about the 4.5-pound range. So that's very nice. I will say though, you know, again, a little bit of take up, but you can take it up and wait, which is called staging the trigger. You get the take up taken out of it where you're ready and then go. Now, of course, in a self-defense situation, and I'm not teaching you how to do that, but in a self-defense situation, remember that your motor skills will be kind of gone. So you might not want to be cocked and sitting there pointing at the bad guy. If you need to use that gun, might be a double action situation, but I'm not telling you either way. I don't want to be liable for causing you or someone else to get injured. So you do what you think, but the double single is very nice. Some guys like that they can cock it, and then it has a much lighter trigger, especially at the range. But double action, especially on some type of concealed carry situation with the heavier 10-pounder or so trigger, depending on the model, that's a lot safer, quote, quote, in people's minds. That's a perception that people have because they can't, a lot of people are afraid when they grab that concealed carry gun that they're going to pull the trigger on it. And that is a valid concern. You don't want to put your finger in that trigger guard and pull the trigger when you're not ready. But so the double action trigger, the longer trigger, as opposed to some of today's polymers, may make a little more sense for some guys. So the Walther PPK at about $500 and about 23 ounces is a great 380. I showed you some of the competition. You see the Bodyguard 380 from Smith & Wesson. It's way smaller, and a lot less at about 12 ounces and about $350 to $450 depending on some of the options that are out there for them. Also the same caliber, but one less round. That's 6+1, this is 7+1. Again, PF9 is going to 9mm, it's running 7+1 if I recall, and it's about the same size but a lot less weight, but a lot less friendly to shoot. So I don't recommend it for the intro guy. And again, this isn't really an overview of all the guns, it's just kind of some competition. Again, if you're going to go with that weight, you could step up to a 9mm or 40 or 45 for that matter. Smith & Wesson M&P Compact, the XD from Springfield Compact, the Glock Compacts, and I've reviewed at least the Glocks and the M&Ps all on YouTube already. You might step up to that in a 940 or 45 for the same amount of weight and the same amount of money. 380 may not be the best choice for you, but it is a valid choice. I don't know anyone that says, oh, it's just a 380. Okay, go ahead and shoot me. You know what I'm saying? So, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the review. Highly recommend the classic, 80 years now, the Walther PP family. Walther PPKS, very good gun. As you know, Scout Tactical is a 3-channel network. Scout Tactical for the guns and gear, Scout Prepper for the emergency preparedness stuff, and Scout Hunter for some of the hunting gear and our hunting adventures. Check them all out on YouTube. Subscribe and like. Keep them coming. I appreciate that. And check us out on the web, scouttactical.com, on Instagram, on Facebook, everywhere else. As always, thanks for watching.